Welcome, everyone, to MLB Tonight on this, the eve of the Hall of Fame election announcement. Cooperstown, New York. We've got people on the ground, a winter haven. Beautiful scenics. They're in downtown Cooperstown. The Village, if you're a baseball fan, bucket list trip. You must go there. Will anyone join Fred McGriffin going there this year? We will find out tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. Our coverage begins. It's Greg Amsinger on MLB Tonight with my guys, Yonder Alonso, Ron Darling. I love this day. The show tomorrow is a big deal. Honored to host it with our entire network, really diving into the numbers and looking at the resumes. People's lives change. Because when you're a Hall of Famer, man, it opens doors, Yonder. It just does.
It feels like once you get in, you're better looking all of a sudden. Your hair is a little different. You're taller. But, yeah, it's a great time. I know we're watching there. It's snowing. But in the summer, it's going to be magical for whoever gets in.
You know, the irony that it's snowing there in Cooperstown while they're making this announcement of the summer pastime, you know, the great pastime of baseball. But it's, I don't know. Like, I got one vote my year in the Hall of Fame. I chased down that writer, gave him a hug, said thank you very much. And these guys, I think that the hardest ones are the ones that have to wait 4 or 5 or 6 years. Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? And when it does, I think it's great.
But to be on the ballot is an honor.
Oh, my goodness.
You feel like in your generation, you had swag. That's good.
We should do a segment on that.
Yeah, if you can take care of a game, if you can take care of a year, that means you've had pretty good years as well to be on that ballot. It's definitely a dream come true.
We'll dive into all the ballot beginners, every guy that's on the ballot for the first time, because some of them will not get to the 10% threshold and not come back for a second ballot. So we'll dive into all of them and talk about some of our favorites that are among the first-year ballot beginners. But right now, let's go to Cooperstown. Brian Kenny, who emcees the ceremony in the summer of the big announcement and the pageantry. He is inside the museum. He's not with his snow boots on. He's with friends talking about the Hall of Fame. BK, take it away.
Greg, thank you so much. Here with Jason Stark and John Morosi, and we were talking on MLB Now earlier today. Somebody should make a case for, and you had a lot of down ballot guys, that again, most of these guys are on the border, near the border. Make a case for somebody. So Jason Stark, you start. Make a case for one of these players.
I'd like to make a case for Todd Helton. I used to be one of the voices in the wilderness on Todd Helton. Now he's close to getting elected. Glad to see that. But here's the thing. Look at Todd Helton's slash line. 314 average, 414 on base, BK, 539 career slugging. If you look at the list of everybody in history with that slash line, they're not just in the Hall of Fame, they're legends. But I mean, I know what people are thinking. They didn't get to play at Coors.
Right.
Okay, he did. We have tools now that enable us to account for that. One is something like road OPS. I mean, just take a look at the list of Hall of Famers who have a worse career road OPS than Todd Helton. It's guys like Rickey Henderson, Dave Winfield. He did what he did, and he posted. He played in the most taxing environment any player ever has to play in, at altitude. And look at the games played for that guy.
Right. Most guys find it debilitating
Absolutely.
and break down, and he did not. All right, John.
Twice as many games at Coors Field as anybody.
Yes, sir.
Twice as many.
Right. Make a case.
All right, Andrew Jones for me, Brian. He spent the better part of a decade winning Gold Gloves and dazzling the major leagues with his athleticism in center field and certainly all the power as well. This is the room where we're sitting right now where we honor the unique talents of our game. Andrew Jones definitively, for a decade, was a unique talent. Now, certainly there was a decline in his career, as you would expect. We cannot expect that every center fielder is going to play for 15, 20 years. Not everybody can have Ken Griffey Jr.'s career. The reality is, for his generation, Andrew Jones was one of the preeminent talents that we saw at that position. Billy Wagner himself said that was one of the best players I ever played against. For me, Andrew Jones, Hall of Fame.
I'll go against character here and go for a non-sabermetric guy. Jeff Kent is #1 at his position. I'm big on that in differentiating what a player does at his position and where he ranks. Home runs and RBIs, he's #1. Right? It's like now he's not 4, he's not 5, he's not 16, he's not 7, he's #1. I mean, even like total bases, I think I've got him 4th. Runs created, I've got him 6th. Run expectancy, I've got him 5th. In OPS plus, he's 6th. So he's easily one of the top 6 hitters at the position ever. If not, he's created the most volume. If this was, I made this case before, you know, Jason, if this is 1985, Jeff Kent rolls in. And to me, we watched him play. If I thought his defense was atrocious, then okay, that counts against him. That hurts his WAR. But I thought Jeff Kent held it down. Am I right or wrong on that?
I mean, I want to add that Jeff Kent was #1 in slugging among all second basemen since Rogers Hornsby retired, which was like a century ago. And defensively, my recollection of watching Jeff Kent play is he made every play he was supposed to make. And, you know, we're using retroactive defensive numbers.
Correct, right.
And trying to plug them into modern metrics. It's a very inexact science. If Jeff Kent played today with the precision of defensive positioning and with shifts, I think it would have masked a lot of what we're jumping on. I think he'll get in with the contemporary baseball era committee.
Once he gets into a veterans committee,
I
that's
do.
when he gets a second look. Yeah, it's not just old school numbers. They are real volume numbers. That's production, and he has that. There you go, Greg. We made a case. Back to you.
Oh, guys, great stuff. Take a look at the Hall of Fame voting according to BBHallOfFameTracker.com. 179 known ballots, and at the moment, it is looking great for Scott Rowland and Todd Helton, over 79%. I don't know where I stand on these, like, public known ballots. I think it leads to groupthink, which isn't necessarily good for the Hall of Fame, but it's data that we can share with you. Those guys did not mention Scott Rowland. And Yonder, this is a guy you played with, right?
Yeah.
Are you feeling good about Scott's chances tomorrow to be elected in?
Well, I sure do. And when I look at his numbers, we talk about a guy, a 7-time All-Star, 8 Gold Gloves. When we talk about the inductees, third base is the fewest in this Hall of Fame. And when you look at what he does, what he's done, his OPS is just as good as another Hall of Famer in Paul Molitor. I think this is a guy not only that has the numbers, but also what he was and what he represented, not only to Cincinnati when I played with him, but the Phillies and the Cardinals. I think this guy's a no-brainer.
You know, he's 9th in WAR at that third base position. Anyone that is at a position that's 9th or better in WAR is in the Hall of Fame. Just Joe Mauer's not, but he will be. So, you know, we're talking about Scott Rowland as a guy, to me, that just represents. I don't think we take care of the great defensive players like we should. We have a lot of good defensive players. We love talking about guys who can't catch. But we can't quantify great defensive players because there's only 1 or 2 that come in every generation. He was one of them.
I'll tell you what, talk about defensively. His glove was like a brick, Greg.
A brick?
I didn't
expect you to say that.
If you put your hands in his glove,
okay.
There was no way you can fold that thing. And he liked it like that. He felt like...
So it was like it wasn't broken in?
It was never broken in. Wow. He was the only guy that I had ever seen that he would take the glove out of the box and play with it that same day. It was impossible to do, but Scott Rowland did it for a long time and had plenty of gold gloves.
I'm a big fan of Scott Rowland. Sounds like we're all big fans of Scott Rowland. But let's play a different game. If you, like we saw BK and friends do in Cooperstown, could have one vote for tomorrow, one vote, you can only vote for one guy. Ronnie, I'll start with you. Who are you voting for?
Jeff Kent, because it's his last year on the ballot. I would vote for him, and I'll tell you why. Most Hall of Famers are like supernovas. They explode on the scene. Jeff Kent did not. He was a very pedestrian, average kind of player his first 5 years. Why wouldn't he be? He traveled to 3 different teams within 5 years, Toronto, and then the Mets, and then Cleveland. And, of course, once he got traded to San Francisco, his career took off. When you put him in the same breath as Alomar, Sandberg, and Biggio, he's #1 in home runs. He's #1 in slugging. He's #1 in OPS plus. He's #2 in average. I mean, all of those numbers speak to the MVP in the 2000 season. I think he should be in anyways, but because it's his last year, I want to make sure he gets my vote.
All right, so you got a vote?
Yeah, I'll go with Carlos Beltran, a guy who's on the first time in that ballot. But when you look at him, and as soon as he came up to the big leagues, I mean, what a star, right? You look at his uniform, the way he wore it, and you can just tell this guy was going to be a potential Hall of Famer. We know what he's done in the postseason. One of 5 players with 400 home runs and 300 stolen bases, a 9-time All-Star. What's not to like about Carlos Beltran? Listen, when the states got hotter is when Carlos Beltran really came to work. I mean, this is a guy, if he doesn't get in this go-around, I think the next go-around, he definitely gets in.
So the cheating scandal connected to him doesn't bother you at all? You would vote for him anyway?
You know, the grass is not so greener on the other side, and sometimes you may have 2 or 3 different stories. It doesn't bother me. I think this guy has been hitting since he was 20 years old. It doesn't bother me at all.
It bothers me, but he's going to pay for it. Like, he's not going to get in.
He's been paying for it.
But I'm saying he's going to pay for it by not probably getting in his first ballot. But, you know, time heals all wounds, and he certainly will be in at some point.
There's been a lot of time for Billy Wagner on the ballot, and I don't understand why. He's the greatest left-handed closer we've ever seen in the game. Now, he walked away. You can make a case at the top of his game. He's the Mike Mussina of closers. Mussina won 20 games and then called it a career. He eventually got into the Hall of Fame. Billy Wagner's last year, he almost pitched 70 innings and had a 1.43 ERA. His career K per 9 is 11.9. I want to compare it to another closer. You may have heard of him, Mariano Rivera. Mariano's K per 9 was 8.2. Mariano's career ERA is 2.21. Billy Wagner's career ERA is 2.31. Do you know what the baseball reference comparisons are for Billy Wagner? You're going to like this. Craig Kimbrell, Kenley Jansen, and Aroldis Chapman. Three guys who might be on the Hall of Fame highway. We should do a segment like that.
That's right.
We should do a Hall of Fame highway segment.
I'm in on that.
This is how the show comes together. It's like we plan this stuff. We just make it all up as we go. Anyway, this is a big, big show that you have to watch. It's the 2023 Hall of Fame announcement. It is Tuesday, begins at 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on MLB Network. I'll be joined by Harold Reynolds, Tom Verducci, Hall of Fame broadcaster Bob Costas will be alongside, Lauren Shahade, so many other great broadcasters. Again, the announcement's at 6 p.m. Eastern, but you want to watch all of it. Amazing interviews to boot, right here on MLB Network. There have been guys, great players, who are one and done on the ballot. Kenny Lofton, Jorge Posada, Johan. How does this make sense? Let's get ahead of it. Let's talk about guys who could be one and done on this year's ballot next.